Welcome to another Synfig tutorial, and in this one I'm going to be showing you how to bend an arm using bones, and we're only going to be using one shape. So what we're actually going to do is create, if you've ever watched any of those cartoons, like maybe like an Adventure Time, and you see how their arms bend like as if they have no bones, that's what we'll be trying to recreate. Okay, so to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is select my spline tool, and I want to create 2 points. And I'm going to turn on my grid first and turn on the snap. You don't have to use the grid, but I like using the grid. And I'm going to just create 2 points, one here and one here. Okay, and then somewhere in the center, I want to insert an additional point. So just right click and click insert vertex. So we're working with 3 points. Okay, now I'm going to turn off the grid and the snap, and I want to increase the size of this line here. So I'm going to go into the properties, and where it says outline width, I'm going to change that to maybe 30, just so it can have a bit of thickness. Okay, so this right here is our arm. Our arm. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is create a bone. So go to layers, new layer, other, and click on skeleton. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our bones. So what I want to do now, or what I'm going to do now, is hold on Control and click on the both of these layers, and then I'm going to move my bone into place. So I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to scale this down to close to the center point here. I'm going to right click, create child bone to create another bone. I'm going to move this one into just over the center point, and then move this all the way out. All right, so now our bones are set up. So I'm going to click off of those, and then I'm going to click on the spline layer, and I'm going to select this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to parent each of the ends to the bones. So with this selected, I'm going to hold on Control, select my skeleton again, and then right click on the bone itself, the top bone, and click link to bone. Link to bone. And then I'm going to click off of that and click back on the spline layer, and I'm going to select just this point at the end, and then hold on Control, select my skeleton, and right click on the lower bone and click link to bone. So now our bones are linked to the spline. So if I should go on my skeleton layer and rotate, for example, we see that the bone is now rotating. Right? So that is definitely pretty cool. So we have a nice bend going on here. So depending on how you set up your points, it will bend accordingly. And always remember that it's actually bending the curve. So whatever result you would get using these points here, it's the same thing that you'd get using the bones once you join them to the points, right? But we only used 2 bones and joined them to the end points. We didn't join any to these 2 points here. Okay, so there you have a nice bend. Also note that if you move this, because it's controlling this bone right here, and it has influence over this bone, whenever you move this, this will also move. And that can cause a bit of a problem based on how we've rigged it. So watch what happens if I move this. We see it also bends here, right? And that's based on how we connected it. Okay, so you might want to watch out for that. If you don't want to move this, you can turn it off, so you'll only be able to rotate. And here we have a rotation as well, but as you notice, it's only affecting this area right here, right? And again, that's how based on how the spline is set up. So if you move this point here, notice that where it curves also moves, right? So you can experiment with where might be the best position for you, or you could work both with the bones and the spline, right? If that won't be a bit complicated, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm gonna undo all this, or better yet, let me just start over. So I'm gonna create another spline, 2 points again, enter. I'm just going to right click on the somewhere in the center, insert item. I'm going to turn off the grid. Let me also go ahead and increase the width for this as well. All right, maybe 20. Well, let's leave it at 30. There's a discrepancy here, but this is happening because, you know, it's where I put the point, but we can fix that by moving this point here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is show you another way that you could do this. You could do it with the same bones, but with the bones not parented to each other. So if I should right click, new layer, other, and go to skeleton, we have our bone. Oh, let me go ahead and turn back on our point there. Now let me move this bone up, and I'm going to right click, create child bone, and I'm going to click on this bone now. And what I'm going to do is remove this as its parent. So in its properties, I'm going to go to where it says parent. I'm going to click on here and click none, so it has no parent. So both of these bones are independent, and then we're going to line them up just like we did in the first part. So I'm gonna select the both of these, and I'm going to move this here. Well, actually, I'm going to do this another way because we already know how to do that. So what if I placed the origin point here in the center and move this around here, and then place this point here, move this around here, right? This might not be the best way to do it if you're rigging your arm, because what we're doing essentially is giving this bone influence to this part here and this bone influence to this part here, so they'll move independently. But the idea is still there, right? I'm just showing you that you can actually reverse the bones. So let's go ahead and parent these. So I'm going to select these points here and select the skeleton, right click on the bones, link to bone, and then let me just quickly do this part right here and right click, link to bone. Okay, so let's see the results of this. So if I should do this, we see it's influencing that part there. If I do here, we see we have a perfect curve or a perfect bend. All right, so I mean, you can add more bones if you want and experiment further, right? But this result is good enough for me. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, MRD.